let's get some prize picks in today, guys. Last night's picks went 3-1 right here. Cat cleared his line at that 20-point mark. And Naz Reid, honestly, I thought this cashed. He had 0 points by the half, I want to say. And then ended up getting 16 points in the second half. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure he got all his points in the second half. And then in the last 5 minutes, he had 9 points. Thought maybe he gets benched, maybe he gets less minutes. No, he went on and scored another 7 points to cash 16 points. Other than that, on Cleveland, the stack did hit David Fry with over 1.5 hits, runs, RBIs, as well as Tyler Freeman. So unfortunate on that. Honestly, I thought that was going to be a nice cash for us, but we did not pull through on that. 3-1. I'm going to create some different slips for today because I'm really late on this video and NBA starts in about an hour here. So I'm not going to go making an NBA slip, but I will tell you one lean that I have, and that's going to be on Wendell Carter Jr., depending if Jared Allen is playing. As I'm filming, it's not really confirmed or not. Actually, never mind. I was going to say it's over 8.5 rebounds assists. That was a great prop that I threw in a different entry, but it's already bumped to 9. So forget that. Let's just go and make some 4 powers. I'm making 2 4 powers, and then maybe unconventional here. The first league I'm going to go to is actually UFL. So this is like kind of that merge of USFL with XFL. It's basically football if you guys don't know what this is. And essentially football is a very correlated sport, as we saw it with the NFL. A lot of times you're going to be taking, their quarterbacks with some wide receivers or the tight ends, whoever is getting the most receiving yards. So in this case, we have the QBs and we also have some receivers and tight ends. So what I want to do is take an over, for example, on a quarterback and take an over on his wide receiver. Why? Because the only way, because 99% of the ball, when someone is getting receiving yards, they're getting those receiving yards from a quarterback. Which means if Jordan is clearing his passing yards lines, it's likely his receivers would be catching their receiving yards line. In this case, we only have one receiver to work with, so we have to go with Kelvin Harmon. There's not really any choices that we could go with. And the reason I'm liking these 2 particular players, if we go over to Underdog and kind of do a comparison, you see Jordan's at 195.5 on Prizepicks. On Underdog, he's set at 202.5, so we're getting at least 7 yards in comparison to Underdog. And yes, it's an extremely niche market. You don't really know who's right. But if we have the lowest price on Prizepicks, I'm assuming that the over is the right play in this specific scenario. It doesn't really matter though, because it's correlated. If either we're grabbing under or over, it's all the same concept. You just want to get a little bit of value if you could find it. And the thing is, you can't find these props on any other sports books or any normal sites because it's extremely niche. It's kind of like esports. There's not going to be player props for that. So you have to use the other DFS sites to compare. And at least we're getting 7 points of value compared to Underdog. And Underdog does have pretty sharp lines, so I kind of trust him on this. Then Kelvin Harmon at 34.5. On Underdog, he's set all the way up at 41.5. So we're getting 7 yards of value on the quarterback as well as the wide receiver. And we have that positive correlation effect. And you can see right here, your payouts are different than the standard payouts as a result of this combination of players. They're basically saying it's correlated. You're going to get a payout shift. And you're going to see once we build the full format, we will be shifted to 9.5x. But because of how strong the correlation is, it doesn't matter. That nerf from 10x to 9.5x is really not a big deal. So that is going to be the first 2 picks. Jordan Ta'amu on his over 195.5 pass yards, as well as Kelvin Harmon on his over 34.5 receiving yards. This game starts 3 hours later than the NBA game, so hopefully you guys should be able to get this in. And then we're going to go over to CS2, and I've talked about correlation in CS2 many times, but if you guys are new here, essentially from the same game, we got Imperial and Insanity. These games are map-based, so round-based. The more rounds there are, the more opportunity for kills there will be. It's versus 13, so if a map goes 13-1, that means there's only 14 total rounds, which means less opportunity for kills for both teams. Even though one team might be demolishing the other team, it's 5v5. So if there is not a lot of rounds, even if Imperial is demolishing Insanity, for example, there's still only a certain amount of kills that they could possibly get in that limited amount of rounds. So in the teams that are playing each other, you want to take the over on team A and the over on team B. In this case, Insanity doesn't seem to even have player props. We could go over to Natus Vincentia here, for example, and let's say JL plays for NV here, so we're going to go and grab him on the over versus Complexity. These guys are up against each other, so you want a longer game. Let's say it goes even into overtime, which is a possibility in CS2, and then you have a full slip. And honestly, I thought that was going to pay 9.5x, but actually pays 10x, so even better. These 2 are fully correlated, as well as these 2 are fully correlated. But I'm not going with these specific guys, it was just an example. So this game is going to be at 7 p.m. Eastern, and I'm going on Nate on his over 30.5 map 1-2 kills. And because he plays for Audic, and Audic is versus Case, we want someone from his opponent, which is Case, on their over. And this would be on Urban 0. We're going to grab his over. Again, the longer the maps are, the more rounds there will be, giving more opportunity for these guys to both clear their props. And the beauty of it is I was mistaken, you still get that 10x. So this is going to be the first step. We're going to go make another 4-man just like this. The second stack, I'm going to start over into Valorant. And we're going to go with Oxy on his over 39.5 map 1 kills. He plays for Cloud9. So right away, you look at MIBR. Who could we take from MIBR that is going to be profitable? we're going to go with FRZ on his over 27.5 map 1 kills. And again, I always have a reason for why I'm taking these specific. If we look at Oxy, he is set at 40.5 on Underdog. We have him at 39.5 on Prizepicks, so we might as well get that kill of value. And then the same thing for FRZ, he's set at 27.5 on Underdog. He's actually set at 29, so we're getting a full kill and a half of value on that. A full kill on Oxy. So that is a great way to start this 4 power. We're going to go back to the UFL and we're going to grab the quarterback from this same game here. The San Antonio quarterback on his under 212.5 passing yards. And again, if we go on Underdog, you're going to see we get 1 passing yard of value. It's nothing crazy, but at least we know that we're getting some value. Now on his receivers, we actually do have some options compared to what we had on the DC defenders. We have 3 specific receivers, and if we check all their values, so 57.5, 45.5, and 42.5, it's exactly what you get on Underdog. So 57.5 here, 42.5 here, and 45.5. Honestly, in this case, you could pretty much go with anyone. I like to go with the main receiver because, of course, if the main receiver is not getting a lot of receiving yards, it's likely that the QB is not really throwing the ball as much. So this is going to still pay 4x. And just to show you that the correlation still exists on the unders, I'm going to be taking the unders, and we also have the overs on the other team. This is the second full 4-man. Good luck, everyone.